I think this is one of the most interesting companies in emerging markets, and this is called Collector Crypt. Now, based on their current DeFi Llama revenue projections, their revenue in terms of how much they take home will be roughly 37 million this year, supposedly. Again, we have to talk to the founders, and I'm going to try and have them on this show. But what's interesting about Collector Crypt, as well as BZ and all these different card platforms, is their one growing marketing lever, which is the gacha. Now, what is a gacha? This has been around for decades, okay? It's called a gacha, started from Japan. It's a lot like a slot machine, and the way it works is you put a certain amount of money into the slot machine. This particular slot machine has a rarity to it. We call it booster rarity. And there are certain cards in them, and the idea is that you may have a better chance of finding a rare card in this gacha machine versus on the market, right? At a discounted price. It's all leverage. You're trying to leverage this gacha machine in order to get a card at a better price than you could have ever afforded. And also because of this, Collector Crypt has built a social graph. So what is a social graph? A social graph, when it comes to marketing, is the amount of users or the users in your network that exist on a platform that allow you to expand the product offering. Because in the age of AI, intelligence is slowly going to be commodified, especially by open source AI and local models. So if intelligence is a commodity, that means inherently you can build any feature on your site. So you're no longer, held back by technical capabilities, but your social graph. And so what happens is you may be building beyond your community's means. So for Collector Crypt, their social graph is trading cards. If they went from trading cards to shoes, they might have a problem because of their social graph being in this particular sector, this graph. That being said, based on the size of their social graph, they have enough room to grow beyond the gacha machine. I think I'm making sense to you, okay? But I want to make it clear that the social graph is pretty much primed by the company and their users. So like the vehicle to grow the social graph is the gacha machine, right? So I just said, if they sold shoes, it would be a problem. Well, they would need a vehicle to potentially expand that social graph. So if the vehicle in question is this gacha machine that allows for rarity and randomness, and it's a slot machine, then effectively you could put, tennis rackets in it if they felt like there was an audience around that. But I think this is why you have Collector Crypt growing, even though their SEO is actually not good. So I went through their Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Google search, and did it through incognito. And their search is really not good. The only place where they're having high growth when it comes to social media happens to be on Instagram. Why, I don't know, but I would like to ask them if I ever get the chance to talk to them. Maybe it's because, and this is like a theory of mine, Instagram has inherently older people. They're old enough to spend money, but they're not so old that they're on Facebook. And buying cards is a whales game, largely working well here. But like we can see here, that I don't think they're buying traffic because there's no value to buying traffic on Instagram. You don't make any real money doing it. But like you would think that YouTube would be like the biggest place, but their YouTube just doesn't exist. And so I think what's really interesting is they're doing okay. I think what's interesting is these guys are making $30 million plus a year. They're doing millions in volume a week, and they have very little social media presence beyond Instagram. And I think it's one of the cases where DeFi is the marketing advantage. So if you go to cards, like their token, the cards token is pretty unique for a couple of reasons. One, right now in the DeFi sector, and I don't even want to call it crypto, because the more that we get into everything being on chain, you stop calling it cryptocurrency, you just call it digital assets. So the cards token has a buyback system, and also holding the cards token gives you gacha points. Now, apparently these gacha points allow you to get into higher tier gachas. Think of it as like a poker tournament, right? Like there's a high rollers club. It's the same thing with these gachas where there's high roller gachas where only the best whales can access these highly rare gacha machines, which is really smart. And what's interesting is we'll talk about it as you can see this reflected in their revenue, on-chain revenue at least. But this idea of a buyback system plus a narrative around RWAs, there was a Chinese investor in my comments on this post I made about cards and like what you're betting on with the token. And I guess I mean, I assume he's an investor. It looks for, I mean, some of the people following him seem to be legit. So let's assume he's an investor. He said, agree, but the next unlock is decoupling from whale volume and expanding into unsexy infrastructure later. Lending against vaulted cards, fractional index products, a licensed price feed. I don't agree with fractional index products because a lot of NFTs tried this and they went to dog shit. I don't think there's that many people interested in fractional index of cards as DeFi tends to believe. I did see Grail XYZ is like trying to do that. I saw this with NFT PFPs and I didn't really get it. And Top Shot, I think, had this a while ago. But yeah, a lot of the marketing is the price. And this is a big saying in DeFi, which is like, the price is the best marketing you could possibly have. And that tends to be the case with Collector Crypt, especially through their buybacks. But I think it's the whales themselves that are propping up this marketing, which is making them like the dominant leader. And this is something that's kind of, it's a big risk, but the reality is when it comes to marketing these apps, they're all the same way. Whale marketing is the most effective marketing. All the UGC, all the content, all the IRL shit is just dressing to make the whales feel good about ingesting and re-upping into these effectively gacha packs, right? You can see on DeFi Llama, a large majority of Collector Crypt's revenue is coming from $1,000 pack sales. And the only people who can afford that are whales. I'm assuming the reason this is doing well is not just because whales want to spend more money, but the rarer cards are going to be in this unit here, right? Like what the whole point, like there's no point on this end here on the bottom rung to roll these overpriced gachas and then get like dog shit cards. The only reason you'd want to do this is to farm points or farm the cards token in some way. So it does make sense that this is very top heavy. It's also why I've seen someone like Andy from Monster, which is another card company, talk about how the entire business of gacha doesn't make as much money as you would think. And that the entire marketing for gacha is having inventory, which is quite interesting. Where all these card companies have a unique marketing strength and weakness in that the TCG space is so large and there's so many people opening packs that you don't have to really buy into that market. The only thing you need to do is source enough inventory where the whales will find you, and then the guppies follow the whales. So they don't need to spend really any money on marketing online. All the frontier marketing goes into the inventory. And that is a very unique thing about frontier products, right? When I say frontier, we mean, you know, anything trading or AI. Frontier products on the DeFi side, you don't need to spend as much money marketing into Web 2 or into the normal market as you do either having inventory, having high volume or liquidity, or having the best fees. And those three things are the best possible marketing you could have for your company. And then once you have that system initiated, then you spend on creators and UGC. I do think that's the most compelling thing about RWA, and TCGs are RWA, because if you own the gacha card market, you can start rolling in all sorts of other physical goods or commodities. That's also why something like Collector Crypt or BZ is doing so well, is that future value of like, well, if you house cards, you can house anything if you have enough volume, which I think is very attractive, right? It's a winner takes all market there. But I do want to interview Collector Crypt when I get a chance, because I need to ask them these questions directly. But yeah, that's my long spiel on everything I'm seeing on the TCG marketing side. Would like to know your thoughts in the comments below as we turn this into a long form YouTube video. Where is it going? What's happening?